A baby whose nosebleed turned out to be a 1 in a million disease has had his life saved by a complete stranger. Tiny Daniel McAvoy's parents were told he would die unless he received the stem cell transplant before he turned 2. The infant was diagnosed with Wiskott-Aldrich Syndrome, a rare blood disorder, when he was just 10 weeks old. Mum Georgie, 30, and Dad Andrew, 37, noticed something wasn't right with their newborn when he suffered chronic nosebleeds and passed blood in his nappies. But after desperately searching for the right donor for more than a year, Daniel has now had the transplant and is a smiley, happy top back at home. He's eating and playing, and I really hope it continues that way. I'm just so proud of him. He's done amazing, Georgie, of Benwick, Cambridgeshire, said today. There were plenty of times we thought he would die. We even had him christened in hospital because things weren't looking great. He has the most severe level of the syndrome, so from day one we were told he would need a transplant to replace his faulty immune system and defective cells, and the procedure took place. Doctors warned that he would go down quickly after the transplant, but he hasn't, and they're shocked. When Daniel was first referred to hospital at 3 weeks old, medics first thought he had leukemia, but after recovering from sepsis, he was discharged while they continued to look into the worrying case. He was then rushed back to hospital at 10 weeks old in July last year. Georgie, who is a stay-at-home mum, said, "The nosebleeds went from nothing to doctors then telling us that he needed a bone marrow transplant to save his life." He was diagnosed with Wiskott-Aldrich Syndrome in July 2019, which affects only 1 in a million boys, and was the cause of the horrendous bleeds. "I never knew I was a carrier of the gene that causes it, so as a mum I felt pretty guilty that I'd given him it." The newborn woke up in May 2019 with a crust of blood on his nostril, which his parents thought was strange, but a health visitor suggested it could be from a scratch. But the top began passing blood in vomit and nappies, and a GP then referred him to the hospital, where tests found he had a low platelet count that caused the bleeding. Following a platelet transfusion to help stabilise him, Daniel's parents were told he contracted sepsis, but could also have meningitis and a rare type of leukemia, so he was sent to a cancer ward. Various procedures ruled out leukemia, and out of nowhere the tiny tot began to get well again, so doctors discharged him. Georgie added, "Something still didn't sit right with me, but sometime later he had an unrelated hernia which needed an operation, and began having nosebleeds again. I suggested that a doctor needed to look at the big picture, because I knew there was something wrong with my baby." The paediatrician looked back at all of Daniel's notes and thought it was Wiskott-Aldrich Syndrome, which I'd never heard of before. Then after the operation, to remove the hernia, the hematologist agreed. Within 24 hours of him being tested for this, he was pretty much diagnosed, and then doctors were speaking to us about bone marrow transplants. It all went very quickly. In Daniel's case, he's had a lot of bleeding problems. He bleeds from his gut, nose, eyes and mouth, so doctors were concerned about a catastrophic bleed that would kill him. Close quote. Wiskott-Aldrich Syndrome is a primary immunodeficiency which caused Daniel's bleeding and left him prone to infections such as sepsis and also cancer. He began having antibody infusions once a week as charities such as DKMS ran their global register to find a life-saving stem cell donor for Daniel, and a match was found in September 2019. Georgie said, "We had a terrifying 12-week wait, but we were really fortunate that it was quick before a match was found." His transplant then got delayed 3 times. The first and second times were because he wasn't well enough, and the third time was due to coronavirus. "I just went into panic mode because I thought he was going to die from this. But Daniel's transplant finally took place after a week-long chemo and immunotherapy course. We're taking it day by day. If it's successful, within 2 years he should be a healthy little boy." It's all been a mixture of feelings. It's really nice how he's so young that he won't remember how awful this all is, but at the same time, sitting there watching your child have chemotherapy is the most heartbreaking thing in the world. "I would do anything to switch places with him. Now that baby Daniel has been given another shot at life, his family are now calling out for others to join the transplant registers, as 4 out of 10 patients aren't lucky enough to get a match." Georgie added, "It's incredible how an anonymous donor saved Daniel's life. Without that person there would be no Daniel. They are all we needed to give him a second chance at life. It's so simple and easy to sign up, and by doing so, you could save a baby's life." Close quote. If you are aged between 17 and 55 and in general good health, take the first step to register as a blood stem cell donor by registering for your home swab kit at www.dkms.org.uk.